So I have a collision detection problem in Hex Flixel that I'd like to show. So here we are in play state, and if you look at the code in update, I have this line of code which says if map, which is of type Flixel map extended, so if map overlaps with throwables is typed group of type sprite. In this case, call some function. This is just a temporary name, obviously. So okay, here I say well, this is not optimal way, but forget about it for a second. First I cast a object that collided with a map to throwable interface, because I have some methods implemented there, but that is besides the point. Anyway, next check I do is if map overlaps object, which is to say if object really overlapped with a collidable tile, not just with any tile position in the map. In this case I do some checks which are irrelevant for this case, as it were. And then what I do is I update touching flags between map and object, and I call on the throwable object, which is this cast I made here. I call a method called collide with map. So this is this method. So here I first saved the velocity that was at the time of collision between a map and an object to a temporary variable. I separate those two objects. So one is this throwable object or Flixel sprite, and the other is map. And then I check at the moment two things. First, if the throwable object just touched a wall. In this case I set its x velocity to a negative velocity. Obviously I have to fetch it first from temporary variables, since separate will null those values. I'll set them to 0, and then I check if indeed this sprite has just touched a Flixel object floor, and in this case I do the same for y velocity. But I'll show you in debug what actually happens, which is a rather strange occurrence. So I'll put debug point here, breakpoint here, and run the debugger. We'll have to wait a couple of seconds. Okay, so here we are. Here is our so-called hero. He picks an object and throws it. Bam! Okay, collision detection obviously fired off. So all these conditions were met, which is excuse me, in play state. So all these conditions were met. We overlapped the map with throwable objects, and the object, the sprite, indeed overlapped a collidable tile and what have you. Oops, sorry. So now I said, have I just touched? So has this sprite, this throwable object, just touched Flixel object wall? Let's see here. Well, it hasn't, right? Okay, it hasn't. Has it just touched Flixel object floor? Well, it certainly seems so. It has. So I changed the y velocity. That's all cool. Right? Bam. Now we bounce. Now it seems like we have, after the bounce, touched the wall. It has some a few pixels of offset. So yeah. So have we just touched object wall? For all intents and purposes we have. Bam, bam. Now we did this how shall I say, ballistic curve and hit the floor, right? And now we say, have we just touched the wall? No, we have touched the floor. Bam, we have. I mean, you see. So at this collision, in any case, code determines that a this sprite just touched the object wall, which I kind of disagree, and this obviously causes problems down the road as such. Right? We touched the wall. We touched the wall. This doesn't seem right.